Hello and welcome to the TV Rundown, the TV news web series that watches you. Creepy. This week, due to popular demand, a TV news YouTuber brought back a shorter version of the intro he promised he wouldn't use again, and of course by popular demand, we mean his mum, who just likes seeing him in a suit. Hi Mum. This week in TV, the BBC did what can only be described as a direct and shameless attempt to apologise to me for letting Fox get their grubby, moronic and meddling hands on Luther. No! Why? Not Luther! Don't do it, Fox! In a move specifically designed to make up for that atrocity, the BBC announced this week they were developing a miniseries based on the Cormoran Strike detective novels. For those unfamiliar with these excellent novels, they come from the pen of J.K. Rowling, who attempted to release the book under a pseudonym only to have the publishers let the truth slip to boost sales a few months in. Allegedly. That'll stop us getting sued, right? The books follow the career of a gruff veteran turned private detective, and more specifically his investigation into the unusual suicide of a famous model, and a case in which he's asked to track down a missing novelist. Now all the BBC have to do is cast Philip Glenister in the title role, and I'll forgive the whole Luther thing. Nah, who am I kidding? You've got a long way to go. Fargo had some actual casting news this week when FX announced they had filled 2 of the key roles. The first addition to the cast was Kirsten Dunst, who many of you will know from her work as Girl Screaming for Spider-Man's Help, and of course those other movies that she's definitely in, but you don't remember she is until you start the film. Oh look, it's Kirsten Dunst. Forgot she was in this. Can't decide if that makes my memory really terrible or makes her really forgettable. The other role went to Jesse Plemons, who many viewers will recognise from his wonderful work on Breaking Bad as the villainous Todd, or as I knew him, Meth Damon. And speaking of FX, this week they ordered the pilot for Donald Glover's new comedy, Atlanta. Glover will write, produce and star in this tale of an aspiring rapper. This is great news for the most part, as FX are a surprisingly supportive network building a clear brand, and Glover is not only very talented, but will likely fit right in with the network's other content. The only downside is that this news was announced the same week as rumours surfaced about Marvel potentially obtaining the creative control of Spider-Man again, with one rumour suggesting that if this happens they'd be looking to recast Spider-Man. Why is this bad news, you ask? Well, because I want Donald Glover to be Spider-Man, goddammit! It's perfect casting! And now he's gonna be too busy. Oh yeah, well done FX, yeah, way to support a talented artist. Well, f*** over the rest of us! I want Gloverman! Hashtag Gloverman. And speaking of superheroes, this week it became clear that some TV executives have spotted a gap in the market and decided to finally set some TV shows in the world of comic books. I know, it's such a novel idea. I can't think of a single TV show based on a comic book that's come out recently. Well, alright, but it's certainly not like a large movie studio has recently announced dozens of movies, all containing superheroes that are due to come out over the next 5 years. Fine. Could be worse though. It's not like 2 studios are planning this far ahead. Alright, well I guess they're just going to beat that particular dead horse until we're well and truly tired of it. So with that said, this week Sci-Fi announced that they're doing a Superman prequel series titled Krypton, in an attempt to recreate some of Fox's success with Gotham. And by success we mean it's doing better than all of Fox's other failures, so will likely be renewed by default. On top of that, TNT have announced that they're looking to shoot a pilot for a live-action Teen Titans TV series next year, simply titled Titans. Between these pickups, Marvel and DC's cinematic slates, and the dozens of comic book TV series either airing or in development at the moment, expect superhero and comic book content to hit critical mass in the next year or so. This will naturally create an oversaturated market that will lead to widespread apathy amongst viewers and cost greedy studios hundreds of millions of dollars because they simply couldn't learn when to slow the f*** down. Now, over to Dan in the Sincerity Corner. Thanks, Dan. I've been really enjoying HBO's The Comeback this year, and I'm quite sad that its ratings haven't been great. Back to you, Dan. Thanks, Dan. Finally, this week I want to talk about the BBC. Unlike most broadcasters, the BBC is paid for by the public through a mandatory TV licence fee, which is essentially a tax all households in the UK pay. As a result, their mandate is to serve the British public, as we are the customers in that particular equation. This differs from the usual model where the almighty advertiser is the paying customer and our viewership is what's being sold. I think the BBC's system works for the most part, but it does lead the broadcaster to having some unusual requirements. For example, they are not permitted to promote anything with the exception of their own content, and as a result do not break up their shows with ad breaks. Which is incidentally why the BBC content is often awkward to schedule in the US, because try fitting a 60-minute programme that is actually 60 minutes long into an hour-long slot that only requires about 40 minutes of real programming. Another requirement is that they have to stay neutral during all political and news broadcasts and are not permitted to show any kind of bias. The BBC are also required to take complaints about their content a lot more seriously, the benefit of which is that through their complaints process, we sometimes get an interesting insight into the priorities and mindset of the British public. For example, let's take a look at the top 3 most complained about things from the month of August. In at number 3, around 800 people felt the BBC's coverage of the Middle East situation had a pro-Israeli and anti-Palestinian bias. And in at number 2, a very similar number of people felt that the BBC's coverage of the Middle East situation had a pro-Palestine and anti-Israeli bias. Well done, BBC. If both sides are complaining you are too biased to the other, I reckon you're doing something right. But the most telling of the British public's priorities is the number 1 complaint from the month of August. Around 1,200 people were unhappy that the BBC had accidentally aired episode 61 of daytime game show Pointless rather than episode 60. I am aware that none of that was actually news, but I've never been prouder to be British. And on that note, this is the last TV rundown of 2014, but not to worry, I will be back in January, and hopefully with some sort of solution to whatever is happening with my hair. So with that said, that is everything for this year on the TV rundown. Hello, it's me out of character, for once. Just want to thank everyone sincerely who's watched any of the episodes of the rundown. It takes a lot of work to make, surprisingly, considering the simple setup. So I'm really grateful for anyone who takes the time to give us a look. I do recommend, if you can, subscribing, as I already mentioned. But also having a look around the channel at the other stuff we have. We did a web series called Writing Space, which is sort of like it's a scripted series that's sort of a mockumentary telling the story of 2 failing writers. Chris, my partner in crime, does a brilliant vlog called Once Upon a Week, where he takes apart episodes of Once Upon a Time, because he's never seen it before and he's going through it from scratch. We also do sketches and other things, so do feel free to have a look around the channel. But again, thank you very much for watching. I wish you all the best of Christmases and a Happy New Year. What Christmas hat?